Hello, this is Jason broadcasting from Meeple Witch Cafe. Welcome to Live from Meeple Witch. Today is Tuesday and it's July the 31st. That means on a Tuesday we have the Vietnamese banh mi sandwich. We also have the tuna melt panini, and our soup options today include the vegetarian French onion, which we have every Tuesday, and as a bonus soup we have Don's homemade chili. Today is Page Turner Tuesday, so we're going to be discussing this book right here. It is Monopoly, the world's most famous game, and how it got that way by Philip Orbanes. Now, this is a pretty comprehensive history of the game of Monopoly, how it grew from its origins as the Landlord's game developed by Elizabeth McGee Phillips, and it would surprise you to know that the game about crushing your opponents with unbridled capitalism actually started off as a game that was supposed to educate people about the evils of unbridled capitalism. It first gained traction in Arden, Delaware, which was a socialist experimental community. And from there, an economics professor actually caught wind of the game, and he started teaching it to his economics students whenever they would work on their unit on property management, things of that nature. Well, originally, there really were no mass-produced versions of this game. There was no Kickstarter at the time, and a lot of mass production of games was primarily reserved for games that were well-known, Parcheesi, chess, checkers, because they had a built-in audience. So when this game, Monopoly, first spread, it spread through homebrews. People would transcribe the rules, would copy their own version of the game board, and they would actually scavenge for parts, for tokens, houses, hotels, money, things of that nature. And this actually kind of is a forerunner of today's print and play game market, where you have to supply the materials yourself to construct this game when the rules are provided for you freely. It wasn't until George Parker came into the picture and licensed the game from Elizabeth McGee Phillips. He started printing it, and board games started becoming big business in the 1920s and 1930s. They were a cheap way to entertain the family during the Great Depression, and you buy the game once, you can get amusement from it again and again and again. So, you know, it's kind of like today. You can buy a game and get a lot of mileage out of it, or you can go see a movie once, that sort of thing. Now, there are a lot of stories about this game as it went through, including the Goodwill Tour that the American government set up in the Soviet Union towards the later end of the Cold War. A lot of capitalist-themed games, things of that kind, were banned in the Soviet Union. But the international scale, the international market for Monopoly, as the game grew and grew and grew, gave birth to some very strange adaptations, including in Germany, where they changed the name from Monopoly to Brer Rabbit, based on the Uncle Remus stories, even though it had originally nothing to do with the Uncle Remus stories. So there were a lot of the game, because it was popular and because a patent was filed. There were a lot of lawsuits throughout the 20th century when copycat games started to arise. People infringing on the Monopoly and Landlord games patent, and they had to go to court to fight people who developed big business, easy money, fortune, finance, and other copycat games. Easy Money, incidentally, is a game that is available today, albeit in modified form, also produced by Hasbro, who bought up Parker Brothers and Milton Bradley, and they kind of ate the competition in that case. So this is intended for the audience of the hardcore Monopoly fan. Unless you're really, really interested in the legalities of board game patent law, or a meticulous history of the Monopoly game, this might not be for you. This is for the person who owns 3 or 4 Monopoly sets just so they can get their hands on all the little tokens, or who'll buy collector's editions and has a stack of Monopoly boxes in their house. Another thing you might notice where my paperclip is here. There's a good quarter of this book at the end that is nothing but indexes, appendices. It says appendixes. I think it's supposed to be appendices, but I'll leave that for grammarians to discuss. Most of these appendices are actually lists of different versions of the game that have surfaced throughout the years, but it also includes some old rules from the Landlord's game, from Finance. If you ever want to duplicate these games, you actually can construct your own version of the Landlord's game based on what's in this book. So if you are not a die-hard Monopoly fan, this book might not be for you, but if you are, then definitely pick it up. It was published originally in 2005 or 2006 because the history runs from 1904 up to the 2005 World Championships for Monopoly that were held in Tokyo, Japan. So that's our review. If you have a book about gaming or about food that you think that we should cover on Page Turner Tuesday, go ahead, like this video, comment below with what you think we should cover, and it may come up in a future edition of Page Turner Tuesday.